And we do have one more set that is going to be happening tonight. It is going to be Alliance Rogue versus Penguin. This is going to be a very fun one. And let's take a look and learn a little bit more about Alliance Rogue.
Alliance Rogue will be your team to be qualified into the InkTV Resurgence League. And we see this machine just pushing up on this left side, getting 2 picks and 1
of them out of the way, but Kiver able to come from just underneath that wall there to pick off the machine in return.
Hello, I'm Gray. I'm the captain of Alliance Rogue, and I am the support player for the team. I bring a lot of paint to the team. I survive a lot, so I'm kind of like the anchor of the team. Kiver now is a Slayer. He can just do it all. People, when they see Kiver, they're just shivering in their boots. They don't know where he's hiding. So then we have Scar, who is bringing a lot of slaying capabilities to the team. He's doing like 30 kills a game. And then as our last, we have Fuzzy, who is bringing a lot of flexibility to the team, a lot of experience as well. He's just playing like whatever weapons we need. So that's like a big plus.
Future like a psychic, baby, you gon' end up right in my bed. Chemistry is science. I could play it cool, but I be lying. I read you like a psychic. I'ma tell you something, you gon' like it. Chemistry is science. Better than what you was fantasizing.
We are reliable. Everybody is good at what they're doing. We can basically trust each other's. Whether we like pushing the objective, whether we need to just go back, survive, whether we need to kill people, it's like just everyone can do whatever we need in the moment. Now that we qualified, we're hoping to prove that we're still like top team because we've been struggling since the beginning of Splatoon 3. We just want to prove like we're still able to stand on top.
All right, so 9, very impressive team that we know pretty well in the community. What else can we say about Alliance Rogue?
Well, let's talk stats here, and particularly their win rate stats, because this is really all you need to know in terms of numbers about AR as a team. 100% in splat zones, 100% in tower control, 100% in Rainmaker, and 100% in Clam Blitz. To say that they are buttoned up and polished would be an understatement, and that's what they've been known for the longest time. The main 3 core has been playing together for years right now, as long as any squad that's currently doing it, frankly, and they can sub other players in and out to make their point happen, but you don't stay at the top this long without having, again, I'll use the phrase buttoned up, but they just don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't give you a lot of openings, and that's one of the reasons they've been able to be so consistent for as long as they've had.
And the other point along with that, you talk about consistency with that roster and being able to sub in whoever they want. I believe they're having Volti come in for them now for the Resurgence League, right? So now they've got this carbon roller that's going to be able to just basically do whatever he wants. He'll probably have the paint support from the rest of the team, and the rest of the team ain't going to give very many other openings to prevent potential 2-down or 3-down situations against AR. So potentially Volti could have quite a large impact here if set up well by the rest of the team.
So the bar is set pretty high, just like we said for some of the other teams that we'd seen earlier today. But K-Bot, what can you tell us about Penguin? What can we expect from them?
They played one composition during the entire... Okay, no, that's a lie. They played 2 compositions during the entire qualifier run that they had. And the majority of the time, it was double V-Splash, Neo Splash, Machine. That is it. In my mind, this is about as close to vanilla ice cream as you get for Splatoon 3's meta right now, right? That's just the reality of the situation in the world we live in. I don't expect to see many changes. Of course, we're going to see them in zones on the first set here, and it'll be game 1 on Flounder Heights, so you'll see some variation there. Everyone wants to run that Tri Nouveau on Flounder Heights zones, but regardless here, Penguin, this team is going to be incredibly consistent in terms of their ability. You know, they're all mechanically talented players, and we'll dive a little bit more into that in a bit, but again, don't expect to see much in the way of particularly noteworthy gameplay. I was trying to go through their entire qualifier run, like, what is this team doing different? The answer is not really much. It's vanilla ice cream, folks. There's no two ways to put it.
And with that, our players are getting ready, so let's toss it over to our two new casters for this set. Popgun and Walkie, take it away.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the InkTV Resurgence League final match of Week 1. He is Walkie, I am Popgun, and Walkie, we're going across the pond to visit our friends in Europe. Alliance Rogue taking on Penguin.
Yeah, that great big pond there that just causes so many great DCs to happen. But, I mean, this time, as you mentioned, we're going to be seeing those two EU Titans go at it in Alliance Rogue and Penguin. So, I mean, this is going to be an exciting one for both of them. I think both teams have a lot to prove. They were mentioning during the cast right there that Alliance Rogue obviously having the perfect record through qualifier number 1. And on the other side, Penguin kind of barely-ish squeaking by coming in through the losers bracket. So I think both of these teams have a lot to prove on either end, similar to some of the other matches we've seen thus far.
Now, our colleagues here at InkTV voted for Jackpot and Nightmare to be the match of the week. And nice voting there, guys. A quick 4-0, very match of the week like. I made the correct decision to vote for this match, Alliance Rogue versus Penguin. And it might be another 4-0 in all honesty. However, the reason I'm excited about this match is Penguin coming in as a middle of the road Div X team the last Ludi season to getting a lot of really major wins in the second qualifier, seemingly out of nowhere. They beat Outsiders, swept Full Send, and Last Resort, two teams that were expecting to be playing in this league, by the way, and had Crush Soda dead to rights before more disconnecting shenanigans went on there. Now, Alliance Rogue, the best team in Europe. I don't think there's any debate about that. Penguin, however, when you look at the resume that they pulled off in the second qualifier, it makes you think these guys might be a lot better than what we were kind of expecting from them.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it right there. Crush Soda, dominating in that last set, but Penguin gave them a run for their money during that qualifier game, and it honestly possibly took those DCs that you were alluding to give Crush Soda that victory in qualifier number 2 over Penguin. But, I mean, I think Crush Soda, yeah, they play a kind of a vanilla comp that K-Bot was alluding to, but at the same time, I think it's somewhat maybe surprising to teams to see something so vanilla in this new patch where people are testing up things that they just need to see and remember what they need to do against a team that, runs a comp so, I guess, vanilla, to put a better word to it. But next, I mean, as I was saying, though, I think this is going to be a great set between both teams, and I mean, we're going to get right to it. Going back into this one right here. Game number 1 on Clam Blitz. It is going to be AR in the green over here. And on the other side, we do see the double slosh, double machine comp coming out from Penguin.
If Penguin is vanilla ice cream, then Alliance Rogue is cookies and cream. There's still a lot of vanilla in there, but you got a carbon roller to mix things up. A little bit off meta, but the carbon deco, very nice weapon with the burst bomb and the ink Zuka, giving it a pretty good special to work with. That is Volty coming in for Alliance Rogue, by the way. And right now, it's vanilla ice cream all over. Penguin coming out to the strong start, getting a lot of splats and getting control of mid, using a lot of specials to do so. It's just a question of, can they start capturing some space and gather up some more clams to get the first push going?
Yeah, right now, it's like we mentioned, both teams just fighting back and forth in mid, but it seems like AR is finally getting some control right there. Noah, the last one remaining, has to back all the way up, has the 7 clams at the ready, so needs to make sure that they don't die near that clam spawn right there. And that is exactly what Noah ends up doing, going down right there. That actually might give them a lot of clams to work with, as Scar is going to pop that power clam into the goal right there. And things are looking really good for AR to start off this one here, Popgun.
Yeah, and they got all the specials in the right spot. You got the crab right there, keeping the fight, keeping the players honest, back away from the tower, while other players are going back to gathering up some more clams. It looks like the well is starting to run a little bit dry, though. I believe that's Noah, the last player with the... Oh, wait, no, that's Alliance Rogue. That's making the push right there, able to build up a power clam, but still getting below 35 points remaining on your opening push. That's pretty promising.
Yeah, things are looking great for Alliance Rogue to start this one out, but as I say that here, one machine gets Kiver down right there, and that should open things up for them. They don't have the power clam at the ready. I believe that player just throws one to his teammate. They do have it right there. There it goes. Fantar is going to pop that one wide open, but the tri-strikes come right back at. Noah's going to go down, and things are looking really good right now on the other end to at least push all of Alliance Rogue out a little bit. But actually, the Alliance Rogue shuts that one down pretty quickly.
Yeah, just an empty push there for Penguin, as they're able to just pop the basket and nothing out of it as well. They just didn't really have the specials to work with to, again, what Alliance Rogue was able to do to keep fights back away from the tower, to keep players away from the basket. As we see the basket get popped yet again by Alliance Rogue, but they don't really have a whole lot of clams themselves to try to keep some points back on the board there. You saw Gray throwing in a few more, maybe going back to pick up a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to get there in time. So Penguin able to hold on a little bit longer. Yes, they gave up 12 more points, but at least they get an extra Mercy Clam to work with. So if they can find ways to get control of mid, which getting that Splatter and Volti is going to help out a lot, it gives them a little bit more ammunition if they can find ways to get to the enemy basket.
Yeah, you mentioned right there, that pick onto Volti was just so crucial so that they at least know that the middle of the map is free. There they got the 3-down situation, and Fantar with the crab is looking up once again. Volti tries to go and actually going to get taken down right there, and now Noah and the rest of Penguin can move on forward. The crab tank is going to come out, wisely tosses the clam towards the teammates so that they can pop the crab tank and kind of create some space for themselves, but nobody's really moving in on that crab there, Popgun.
Yeah, a wasted crab. They were able to pop it, but the basket wasn't open. They were nowhere near. They only had that one power clam to throw in, even if they were able to get there. So the crab just really bought time for them to build up some more clams, I guess. But I'd much rather have that crab ready to go once the basket's actually popped. At a minute 30 left to go here, all they have is a Booyah Bomb. They do have another crab ready to go. And to their credit, they do have a ton of clams that they can throw into this basket. Already below 50. Got 4 more clams that they can throw in, but no more specials they can use to kind of stall out this push.
Yeah, that machine really would have liked to at least gotten a trade there, but because they weren't able to secure that last trade, that means AR is going to come roaring back into the middle. And thankfully, though, Penguin has a lot of paint around the middle of the map. That's going to prevent Volti from moving on forward, but you know Volti, he'll find a way right here, looking to Shark right onto Pramano, going to be able to take Pramano down, and now that just calls all of AR to move on forward. We already see Kiver on the grates with that crab tank, and Noah backed up all the way over here, so expect AR to push in any minute now.
Yeah, if you're Alliance Rogue, you want to keep the aggression up. You don't want to try to just burn out the clock right here. You do have a great control of mid, and that's going to provide a lot of room for Volti to shark around with that carbon roller. But right now, trying to push up a little bit too much, didn't really have anything going right there, and they're starting to lose some players on top of it. Noah getting sucked down into no man's land, getting punished as well. Maybe Penguin focused a little too much on trying to splat these AR players off on their own. Is it going to allow them to get control of mid? And there's only 10 seconds left to go. I don't think we're going to go to overtime. Do they have a Mercy Clam ready?
Now, Penguin, they do have one ready at their basket. You can see it at the bottom. So one of the players does pick it up right there. So things are looking good for us to at least get this overtime, and we do. But Volti actually misses right there on them. That might open things up because you see one of the players, though, does go down actually on the side of Penguin. So they need to act really quickly here, and it seems like all the members of AR are pushing the fight towards their spawn just to make sure that they can't go anywhere near that last clam basket. And I think that's going to do it right there. Volti secures it with the last final pick of the game, and that's going to be AR taking game number 1 right here in this best of 3.
Look, as we've seen over the course of this entire week, this week 1 sets are designed to be, I wouldn't say mismatches, but clearly 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. You're starting to look for some trends here of what can the underdog start to do to be a little bit more competitive. Penguin had their moments there. They had a couple of great pushes, or I should say they had a couple of opportunities to get pushes going. One of them was good. The other one was pretty horrible just because they didn't have the right resources at the right time. But Penguin's showing flashes that they can at least be competitive with AR, which if in this stage of the game, that's a W for Penguin.
Yeah, I mean, Penguin, like you mentioned it right there, they put up a good fight to hang toe-to-toe with AR. And now, I mean, just game 1 confidence right there that, you know, it could go down to the wire like that. You got to think that Penguin will be able to at least turn some things around going into this next one and possibly give them the victory as we move on to Hagglefish Market. But like you were saying, they showed signs of life towards that game. And I think for the most part, outside of that first minute or two, they were the ones in control for the majority of that game.
Yeah, able to get control of mid, but when the Alliance Rogue was able to wrestle it back and create the space for Volti to work with that Carbon Deco, that was a huge difference what Volti was able to do there, getting a lot of key splats, sometimes doing it in the enemy ink as well. That's the frustrating thing about fighting a Carbon Roller, is they can just throw a burst bomb right down at their feet, and all of a sudden they got the room they need to fight, even though they're fighting on your turf. So it can be a difficult weapon to go up against, especially if you're not used to seeing it. Now, game 2, going to be Hagglefish Market. Are they going to use the same exact comp from Alliance Rogue side? I don't know, but we don't really expect Penguin to mix up too much.
Oh yeah, it seems like our maps are mixed up a little bit right there. We are going to be moving on to Museum actually for this game number 2. But I mean, both teams, I don't think this is going to affect too much. Like you said, on the Penguin side, they're probably going to be coming out with a similar comp. It's really going to come down to their execution as we get into this next game here.
Yes, that is going to be Museum. That is the game is going to be coming up with. Now, again, with Penguin, you don't have to get a huge lead going on here. You just gotta keep yourself in the game. Put yourself within striking distance to where you can get the lead at the end. You just don't want to be blown out early and have to go climb a huge mountain over the course of the next 5 minutes here, as we see no real changes coming out from either side. Double crab, double booyah bomb from Penguin. Volti rocking with that Carbon Deco yet again, as we see a machine instantly dropping the flank. So that's the question with this map, is how many players do you send to flank right off of your drop? It looks like Alliance Rogue opted to send one and got a trade out of it.
Yeah, 2 down right there at the beginning of the game for Penguin. Forces them all the way back onto their plat, and that just allows all of AR to just paint up mid and create all that space for Volti that we were mentioning there. Volti right there goes in for one. I think they did manage to get one, and Fantar still backing up onto the plat, and actually Scar meets him right there. Nice job from Fantar to avoid that second slosh that Scar was throwing out on him right there, and that's going to allow them to move forward though, and now he's just going to rotate over and try to work things out. But actually they don't have the power clam. That's going to be a disappearing one right there, as they kind of fumbled it a little bit between them. Nobody able to pick it up, and I believe it was either Gray or Kiver who lost it.
Giver able to throw in a second power clam to get for below 60 points remaining, and one more player going back to build up some more clams, able to throw them in as the right opportunity for this crab to come out. Dodges the booyah bomb and starting laying down a line of fire across the enemy basket as another crab is popped defensively for the side of Penguin, who finally closes up the basket. So far, Penguin's specials, it doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of value out of them. We're seeing them popping crabs in situations like this just to get out of their own base. But once they've used up all their specials, they're down with nothing, and Alliance Rogue has everything built up ready to go to start using on the offensive end. Penguin's just burning everything just to get back to their own plat.
Yeah, once again, all the pressure coming in from Alliance Rogue is kind of overwhelming them right here, like you were mentioning. And now they finally at least move a little bit, clearing up this left side of the map. You see most of the players on Alliance Rogue are either on their plat or on that right side. So now they need to go in on the side of Penguin. They toss up a couple specials. One Booyah Bomb, though, is going to get taken down by that Tri-Strike. Nice, beautiful plays coming in on the side of, I believe that was great to just make sure they called that out and know that nobody on the side of Penguin can move forward and take advantage of that Booyah Bomb. Once again, though, Volti moving up, gonna get taken down right away once again. And honestly, Penguin now has kind of turned things around. They've been winning most of the fights in mid. Now they just need to, I think, capitalize on the specials that they're throwing out there.
Yeah, nice response to recognize where Volti was off on their own, launch a couple of shots from your machine to get the splat. But they aren't really finding ways, again, to even sniff mid at this point. They've set up shop in their own plat, and so has Alliance Rogue at the same time, saying, hey, we're more than happy to fight you here. And again, more specials. That was another crab that had to get popped on the plat. Look at it. They got 2 power clams at their own basket. There's nowhere for them to go. And whenever somebody pokes their head around the corner, they get instantly splattered like that. They're just waiting for Alliance Rogue to KO them at this point. Look how blue that map is. My goodness.
Gray should get that one in, and he does right there. And Scar now in a good position up above in case anybody, tries to approach them at all. But if you're on the side of Penguin, you have to just at some point make a move. They finally do, but Scar takes that one quickly. That's the Booyah Bomb taking another one down. And honestly, Popgun, we might see this one run it right back, as they're probably going to lose those 2 power clams as well.
My goodness, everything's gone. They just have a power clam to work with as Alliance Rogue is just feasting right now. It's just death by paper cuts as far as the objective is concerned. They're building up another power clam. I believe they have enough to get the KO right here. Volti coming back around the corner of this right side as Vantar is able to pop a crab to make sure nobody comes in from the right side. Can Penguin keep this set going a little bit longer? They do, and they get the wipeout. Actually, no, that's Penguin that got wiped out. I was excited for the wrong reasons at one point here. So we see Kiver trying to just put this set away as we got a minute left to go.
Yeah, Kiver throws that one in there. They should be able to finish it, and they do. So that's going to be Alliance Rogue dominating game number 2 right there. Not even letting Penguin off of their spawn, plat area. Great job. If you're Alliance Rogue, you did everything right in that game number 2. And if you're Penguin, you really need to think about the adjustments that you're going to make going into this next set.
Yeah, and that's credit to Alliance Rogue putting all that pressure on Penguin. We saw how great Penguin played in the second qualifier, but they were never pressured like that. They were never put in this kind of situation where they're just trying to keep their head above water while Alliance Rogue is just having a party in their own base. So game set going into the favor of Alliance Rogue as they're one more set away from ending this match. Wow.
Yeah, it was a great showing from them here, but to break that one down all for us, we're going to be throwing it back to Falco, K-Bot, and 9 on the Analyst Desk.
All right, and with that, Alliance Rogue winning their set in a pretty dominant fashion, K-Bot. And Popgun alluded to this, but they were just kind of having a party with that Clam Blitz basket, just being able to push up on the plat and stay in control.
Yep, there it is. The consistency of Alliance Rogue is really coming back and shining through. This team has looked a little shaky in recent weeks, especially against other French teams domestically. But in this last qualifier and then in that Clam Blitz set, they're showing why they've been at the top for so long. Right? We're talking about this level of consistency, especially with this main 3 that has just been able to continue to be there and continue to be this presence. And they are incredibly difficult to try to dislodge, especially when you're looking at basically an even-keeled matchup.
Yeah, I mean, in 9, it's just really incredible with how dominant that this team like Alliance Rogue has been. But what is the main takeaway from this set in particular, Clam Blitz?
Yeah, I think the ingredient that was sprinkled into here, the chemical X, as it were, for all you Powerpuff Girls fans out there, Volti being added in, should not go unnoticed because it changed the way that Kiver in particular played. Now, Kiver has been known for sharking, slowly moving things around, engaging in these quick fights, getting the double kills to then push through. That time, because of how Scar and Volti were moving up and attacking, and certainly once Volti gets into the base, it's a party for everybody who's on AR, it meant that Kiver and Gray could sit back, stabilize, build their specials for the right time, and create more sustainability in their pushes. I will say, it took them a little bit. In our little analysis chat we were having here, we actually thought that Penguin played the better game in this first one on Scorch Gorge, the way that they attacked, the way that they moved. But credit once again to AR having the right specials to slow things down. And once they got back to an even-keeled footing and a fight that was always going to go the other way, you understood here that maybe the things were turning. And I mean, K-Bot, we saw that exactly here in this next game where it was never really in doubt.
And that's the other thing here too, right? The ability to continue to sustain a push underneath your opponent's clam basket is really what separated these two teams apart, right? Alliance Rogue never left the opponent's plat in order to try and give them an opportunity to even come back, right? They were always there. They were always pestering. Volti was in the area, then would drop away, then someone else would make an appearance and dive back in. That allows Volti to come on back, and then this wipeout at the end of the game. I mean, they were just never really left, and that's because they were able to sustain this push with a couple of crabs, that machine out in the right positions, and then trickle those members back to get a few more clams and come back in to throw in another football.
And let's take a look at some head-to-head stats between two key players on both of these teams. Take a look. This is from the Week 1 stats here. And 9, I'll toss this to you first, but Alliance Rogue, once again, kind of on paper, things are looking pretty good here.
Well, yeah, and I'll just let everybody in the audience know we entered all of these stats here, and this was one that I specifically called for because I wanted to, again, show the difference between two players who do a lot of the same thing for their teams here in Gray and Noah. These are the splash users. I know that there's quite a few more weapons on one side than there are on the other, but you take a look at the numbers here in splats, in deaths, assists, paint average. Gray's got it all, and I think if you want to point at any one reason here, these are two players of a similar caliber in terms of skill, but the roles that they play and how they understand and play around their teammates creates the disparity that you see here. And again, if you're looking again for the gold standard of what a support player and a support splash player looks like, take a look at those numbers from Gray. That's splats, just raw splats. Death still lower than that. A nice assist count as well. But over 1,600, and I'll let you all in a little secret. You take away those couple of games that were played with the Tri-Slosher, Gray, over the course of that qualifier, averaged 1,938 points of paint per game. An unbelievable number for any weapon, for any player, but Gray makes it look routine.
Gray does make it look routine, and K-Bot, take a look at the diversity from Noah with the weapons that they use. You sprinkle a few weapons here and there, but you do have the Neo Splash that is sitting at 56%.
Yeah, and we were talking a lot about it. This Neo Splash is getting used an awful lot, right? And I think there are a lot of reasons for this. Knight and I were going back and forth while we were off stream for a while, but a bunch of reasons, including the comfort of knowing that you're used to playing the vanilla splash, and then the additional utility of this triple ink strike, right? It can be used in a lot of different situations, whether it be to try to counter a crab, provide a little bit of additional paint support for your team, or even sometimes as a smoke screen. And especially when you're looking at Alliance Rogue's play right now, Gray's using that Neo Splash and those triple ink strikes to really enable and set up Volty to cause even more chaos, or that's at least the plan anyway. You can see it kind of unfold in some of those cases, and it's another thing that I'll be looking for in terms of that team play and synergy between those strikes and Volty as Alliance Rogue looks to the next set.
And with that, we're going to toss it back to our casters, Popgun and Walkie, to walk us through this Splat Zone set.
Yes, nicely done, Falco. We got it. Hey, there's not a lot of walking you can do on Flounder Heights, which is going to be the first game here of Splat Zones in this set.
Yeah, I mean, mostly just climbing walls and hoping you don't get locked into your spawn as you try to approach those ramps and roofs going on right there. But, I mean, we talked about it a little bit on our side. Penguin really needs to bounce back here strongly if they want any chance at the rest of this set here. And honestly, if any of that last game was any indication, Alliance Rogue is not going to be letting them do that. That was a very dominant performance from them on that museum game. And if I'm Alliance Rogue, I got to feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, but coming into this map, this is a good one like we saw yesterday with Starburst versus Graveyard Shift. This is a good map to get a win against a team that might be a little bit stronger than you. All you got to do is get control of zone, get a wipeout, and you can get a really solid push going right there. Mm-hmm. And right now, we know for a fact Penguin's going to win because they're using a Tri-Slosher and Alliance Rogue isn't.
Yeah, the fabled Tri-Slosher on Flounder Heights. But on the other side, I mean, you got that Carbon Roller. That's a pretty fantastic weapon to camp off those roofs, as we see Volty do once again. Gonna get taken down right off the bat, though, from that machine on the other end. And actually, this machine seems to continue to be going right here, Scar. And they have to know that he's at least at that bottom. They do toss up a couple sloshes there, so now they all are aware that Scar's kind of flanking them a little bit. Cam elects to go for it, but gonna go down in a trade thanks to Volty just coming in and helping out the teammate. Once again, though, Volty trying to approach that rooftop with the Carbon Roller. Gets taken down, though, and Popgun, I didn't even notice this. Nobody's scored yet.
Well, that's the nature of this map. You can get all the splats you want. If one player's left alive, they can just paint their own side of the zone and nothing's going to happen. This is 1 minute with nothing affected on the scoreboard, but there's been a lot of punches thrown and a lot of ink spilled by both sides. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're Penguin, you just got to win this one initial fight, and that could be enough to get you the lead. They finally got a bit of a delayed wipeout and finally get control of everything. So here you go, Penguin, this is your opportunity. This might be the only push that they get, in all honesty. But if they hold on to this lockout a little bit longer, it's enough for them to win here.
Yeah, they already got one taken down. It actually is going to end up being a trade. They also have a special at the ready, and I think they popped that Booyah Bomb right away as they saw the Booyah coming in on the other side. Volty, though, watch it. He's sharking, coming in, actually not going to be able to take down that player. Going to regroup with the rest of the team here towards their splat zone right here and toss up a couple Zuka shots. Not able to really land onto anybody, but possibly allowing Scar to move on forward. But no, Scar's going to get taken down right there. And now, once again, it seems like Penguin is on the offensive.
How did they cap that? That made no sense. Alliance Rogue did not have the man advantage. They must have thrown a bomb on the backside and just thrown just barely enough on their own zone to put a penalty point onto Penguin. And now Penguin's able to wrestle it back into their favor, but still, that's critical. That's a lot of time that Penguin could use to build onto their lead that they're not going to have at all. And we're just now crossing the halfway point, and we've scored about 32 points in total.
Yeah. AR, though, might be able to respond. They have one player down on the other side, and they're moving in on forward to try to get the just need one more slosh. There it is. Scar's going to be able to take down Noah right there. But actually, while they were doing that, everybody on the side of Penguin elected to just go for the other zone, and that's a wipeout here. Popgun, this is a different team.
This is, and those penalty points are going to vanish very quickly. Now, on the flip side, Alliance Rogue has to find a way to get a lockout or a knockout if they want to find a way to get back into this one, or a wipeout, I guess you should say. And that's credit to Penguin. They're not feeding into these fights. They're working together. They were initially, we saw this Tri-Slosher just kind of going for everything that moves, and they got sucked into 2v1 fights. But now they don't have to go for those fights. They can force Alliance Rogue to move into them, and they can just kind of set up. They see that they recognize they lose one player. They don't overextend. Just focus on one zone and bleed out the clock slowly. And not quite sure why that Tri-Slosher player was able to fall all the way down there. That might be the difference why AR might find a way to cap the zone back here. But just as I say that, the crab comes out at the perfect time.
Yeah, they might have extended just a little bit, was Fantar. That gives Alliance Rogue now control of both of these zones. But the thing is, at that moment, Alliance Rogue only had 2 players up, and Penguin's respawning pretty quickly. They're able to get down 2. Nice plays coming in from Pramano right here, and that's going to allow them to move on forward. Gray's going to have to use those tri-strikes to just keep himself alive, keep some distance, but no, going to get taken down by Pramano. And once again, they're in a great position as Fantar locks out that player who's trying to approach on the ramps, and Penguin is looking good to hold this one for the last 40 seconds, and Volty goes down in a trade.
Yeah, if you're Penguin right now, just got to hold on to one zone. It's so hard to cap zones right here because to get both of them with about 30 seconds left to go, able to get one more splat, man advantage still in the favor of Penguin. And you just don't want to see yourself feed at this point. We saw some the tri-stringer slosher drop down in an awkward spot to take a fight they probably had no business taking at a specific spot as well. If they just stay back right here, and again, with 10 seconds, if they could find a way to get a splat on Scar right here, which they do, now, oh, well, actually, there's nothing that can happen right now. Penguin able to outplay Alliance Rogue, at least on this specific map and mode.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Is it Penguin turning the tides, or was it just the map and mode that kind of played in their favor right there? You know, just in general, that's a map where if you're able to get that full-on wipeout on those zones, control both of them, and make sure you can set up your full defense before the other team gets back in, you have a really strong control right there. As we see during this replay, all of the members of A are having to come in from spawn, while on the side of Penguin, they had all 4 members at the ready. But when on the other side, when AR got, their control of both zones, we saw Penguin was still in the fight. They didn't really have to give up too much in terms of turf and paint, and giving all of that ground up over to Alliance Rogue. And I think that was the difference. Just the clean wipeouts on the side of Penguin were able to give them control for a much longer period.
Let me answer the question you asked. Yes, it is that map and mode. It is 100% that map and mode. We've seen, I don't want to use the word cheese, but you play it a little bit differently from everything else. It's kind of like the old Black Belly from Splatoon 2. We barely ever did splat zones on that map in tournaments, but it's got that same kind of feel. It's so hard to cap both zones. You get your Tri-Slosher in the right spot, and you can just build up a lead that you can work with. If Penguin can get the same kind of impressive win on Mako Mart it's a completely different story. And if I'm taking a bet here, I'm assuming Alliance Rogue is going to come back and force a game 3 in maybe not so competitive fashion. But if Penguin can ride the momentum here and force a third set, the first time we've seen that all day, all week long, that would be pretty impressive. And they got a good comp to do it. The problem is, can they contain Volti? Because this is a Carbon Deco playground.
Yeah, I think Volti was already able to take down one with the help of Scar right there. And Scar actually looking for a second, going to take down Pramano. And now on the side of AR, they're in full control of this game. All members on the side of Penguin coming in from spawn. Now they can begin this lockout where Volti is just such a menace, able to take down one. Scar just going to camp out on this left side. And honestly, I would not be surprised if this one ends pretty quick with this lockout here.
65 points remaining, and look at the position that they're in. Able to pop the crab on the right side. That's going to force everybody from Penguin to dogpile onto this this plat area right here. And there's a carbon roller that is screaming all the way back to side of your base, coming around this flanking area. And that's going to force everybody from Penguin to funnel in. Look, they all have to go to that left side. There's nowhere else for them to go. They were funneled in over there, and that's just easy peeking for Alliance Rogue. This one's not going to last much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, they need to do something quick on the side of Penguin. They have the crab tank to at least throw up those, those bombs onto the zone right there, but that is not going to do it right there. 2 go down on the side of Penguin, and Popgun, that might have been one of the most dominating comebacks I've ever seen. Losing game 1 to not even losing a point game 2.
It's the map. I promise you, it's the map. I don't want to get into a debate with anybody here about Flounder zones or anything like that, but Penguin clearly played that map better. But when you get to a map like Mako Mart, which doesn't highlight one specific weapon in particular. Yes, there are some weapons that do better than others on Mako Mart, but Flounder Heights, you clearly need to have like one key weapon that gives you advantage over the others. And on a more neutral setting, we see the better team kind of flex right there, like we just did.
Yeah, and I mean, moving on to Hagglefish Hagglefish Market Splat Zones, I don't think much is really going to change in terms of what we just saw going into that last one. And honestly, I don't even know if the prediction should be who would win this game. It's will Alliance Rogue lose a point this game is the real question at this point after that dominant performance in that last one. Damn. If you're Penguin, you really need to do something quickly. And I mean, what can they really do much on the comp side? You know that they're going to pretty much probably stick to the double machine, double splash that they like to go, that K-Bot alluded to during that qualifying tournament. But you got to think that they got to think of something here to come back into this one. Let's see what it is as we go into game number 3 here.
Yeah, if they don't change their comp, which it looks like Alliance Rogue is able to do, they got to find a way to change their play style a little bit. I'm assuming Volti's using the Stamper here to kind of be a little bit more aggressive on the flanking areas. They want to control the alleyways, both the left and the right side, as we see Volti starting to work towards that left flank, Kiver on the right side. So they're trying to pincer Penguin. It's just how can Penguin respond to that pressure and start getting some splats. They're able to take care of one player on the mid side and 2 more going down on the side of Alliance Rogue. So here's your chance. If you're Penguin, able to get control of the zone, if they can pick off Kiver here before they can escape, that'll delay things a little bit more as far as Alliance Rogue's response is. Nicely done by Penguin to handle the early pressure.
Yeah, the good thing also is they have 2 specials at the ready. Double Booyah Bomb now on the side of Penguin, and on the side of Alliance Rogue, they're going to have to do something quick, tossing out all their specials, going back the other way. See Booyah Bombs on both sides, Crab Tanks as well on the side of Penguin. And that's not really actually going to do it for Alliance Rogue to get themselves back into this one. They lost Volti at some point during all those specials, and they still are going to have to focus on just finding their way back into here, maybe building up those specials back again, because they need to do something quick, as we've already gone down to 37 here on the side. And finally, they are able to get those picks needed to move on forward and get themselves into the zone.
Man, losing one of their machine players was critical for Penguin. They could have closed that one out. They had a crab ready to go, and they were waiting for the right opportunity to use it. The problem is when the machine went down, that forced the crab to be used a little bit early as a desperation, trying to build the tide back into your favor in a 3v4 situation. The crab doesn't able to get a splat, so the special doesn't work into their favor, and instead Alliance Rogue able to cap the zone back into their control, at least for a little bit, to get a little many points onto their on their side of the scoreboard, and put a lot of penalty points on the side of Penguin.
Yeah, huge pick coming in from Kiver right there on the Crab Tank. Booyah Bomb, though, is going to force him now. But if you notice, nobody was really able to follow up that Booyah Bomb much. They elected to paint the zone instead. And I mean, that's an interesting decision from them, but they only had 2 members alive to even control that zone for the amount of time that they did. So they're just going to elect to back out for the most part. And on the side of Alliance Rogue, they were calling somebody out on that left side. I think they ended up going down somehow in a 3v1 situation. But Penguin coming roaring back right back. 3 down right away, and that should be the zone coming back in for them, but how much longer can they hold it?
That's not really the concern right now. It just stalled it and stopped the bleeding because Alliance Rogue had already gotten through all their penalty points. And actually able to stall it out enough for them to get a complete cap. So things have kind of stalled out here. We just crossed the halfway mark. Penguin with the lead. Volti stuck up top. Spider-Man getting called out there and eliminated by Cam, who's doing a great job of taking fights on this right side and forcing some players to retreat. Penguin's looking a lot better in this game on a much more neutral map than what it was game 1. Can they hold on, though, to this lead? It looks like they got a situation where they can try to get rid of the penalty points, though, because they do have the man advantage, at least for now.
Yeah, things looking a little neutral. Alliance Rogue is going to be able to flip the zone in their favor. The Penguin coming roaring right back. Now Gray's going to throw up those tri-strikes. It's going to be up to the rest of Alliance Rogue to kind of capitalize on that space and move on forward. But it is going to be Pramano winning the 1v1 sloshing machine duel up against Scar and allowing Penguin to come back into the zone. But Pramano doesn't see the suction bomb.
By the way, these are both teams from EU, so there's not many connection issues between those two teams. You just had just a little bit of an oopsie moment right there, running into a suction bomb, and all of a sudden, all the penalty points for Penguin are gone, and they're threatening to get a KO. Ink strikes are coming in, and a Booyah is going to be coming on top of that as well. There's not going to be any specials to respond in kind from the side of Penguin, but they still held on to the zone just by using their main weapons. That's going to give them more time to build up the specials they need to possibly get the KO right here. Alliance Rogue throwing everything they can, starting to get some splats though before those crabs and Booyah Bombs can come right back out. Where are the specials from Penguin? They never showed up.
Yeah, we saw a Booyah Bomb actually, I think, over to the side instead of onto the zone. And that honestly might have not been the wisest decision. They may be able to flip the zone, and they do on the side of Penguin. 40 seconds remaining, but Alliance Rogue flips it right back. This is one of the most back and forth games I've seen where they're just not fighting each other, just painting the zone back and forth. Now, though, we do see Scar moving on forward, able to finally win that 1v1 up against Pramano. And that's it. They're moving in. That's 3 down on the side of Penguin right here, and they also know where that last remaining player is. Gray's gonna elect to just go back and paint a little bit right there, but on the side of Penguin, they need to do something quick to get themselves back into this one, and that might be the opening that they need. They need to cap the zone quickly if they don't want to lose the lead. Don't think they're gonna do it though. Oh, they do manage to stop it.
Can they? They get a Booyah Bomb on the backside. Paint the zone, though. They went for the fight instead of the zone, and it cost them the game. Oh, Penguin could have capped it right there. Alliance Rogue making the better plays in crunch time as Penguin lets it slip away.
Oh, that's just such a hard decision for them to make, because obviously in that player's head, they're hearing their teammate call out, one behind. So they go and, turn to look at that player, but instead, probably should have just thrown the slosh onto the zone, possibly would have capped or at least prevented Alliance Rogue from capping at that point. And I mean, that's the name of the game. That's what you need at the end of the game right there. But that little bit of a misplay allowing Alliance Rogue to just slip right through and claim that set.
They didn't even shoot at anything. They were shooting at a player that wasn't there. They hit their own teammate. And the player they were shooting at was taking themselves out of the action anyways. Now, hindsight 2020, obviously, it's real easy from the situation we're at, to see that misplay. I wouldn't even be in a position to make it competitive. So I wouldn't even be in that spot to begin with. But man, Penguin's going to look back at that one and say, if I just focus the zone and I say that player that's retreating, just let them take themselves out of the action, Penguin caps that and they win the set and they're going on to the next one. Instead, Alliance Rogue makes the better plays because they're the more experienced team. And that was the difference in that set.
Yeah, Alliance Rogue doing exactly what they do, coming out strong throughout the entirety of that set. And I mean, the only one that they lost was kind of that weird one that you were talking about in that Flounder Heights game. So Great things coming in from Alliance Rogue overall. I'm expecting great things from them throughout the entirety of the league. This is what they need to do if they want to find themselves in the playoffs. And on the side of Penguin, some good showings from them for the most part. Just, I think, again, what I was alluding to yesterday with Nightmare was, just those little slips and misplays that prevent you from taking those steps to the next level. But I think with some more experience playing these, high caliber of teams, they'll be able to get it. But I mean, that was a great set overall. And man, I had a good time watching it. But we're going to send it over to our analyst desk once again with Falco, K-Bot, and Nine. Guys, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Pop Gun and Walkie. And Nine, there's a lot to unpack with this set. A lot of emotions that happened, but at the end, Alliance Rogue was the one who walked away victorious.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 times there where we oohed and awed at the sheer class of some of the small nuances of the play. Kiver positioning a crab oh so perfectly, hitting the final shots, rolling into ball form just long enough. And, Popgun said it at the end there, the experience, the pedigree, the class of how they move forward. And it's a team that's been doing it at that level for so long. And it becomes a broken record to say they've just done it right so long, they'll continue to do it again. But Penguin had no rights losing that last game. And I would say that Penguin was outpacing the way that AR was playing for a good chunk of this set, even going into some of the Clams games. And I think if you are Penguin, there's a lot of happiness to take away from it. But listen, you don't get to AR's point by losing those types of games. They find ways to win them when other teams simply aren't able to pull it.
And K-Bot, this is a moment where Penguin was actually able to hold AR to 99 points remaining, 3:30 into the game, and did such a good job. And I mean, just the way that they are able to finesse on Flounder Heights splat zones is incredibly crazy.
And that's the other thing we were talking about in the Analyst Desk too. For this game in particular, Zones Flounder, if there was any map that was going to favor Penguin, it was probably this one, right? When they have the ability to pull out the Tri-Slosher, which everyone really loves running here on this map, just for its flexibility and ability to go over some of those walls, cover one of the zones almost entirely. But of course, the second you saw things go right back to Mako Mart, right where that carbon roller feels incredibly comfortable, it was Alliance Rogue's game to take care of there. So we saw a lot more back and forth here in this Hagglefish game, but I want to continue echoing the sentiment that a lot of everyone else has said so far. What we're seeing so far in this Resurgence League, this goes for Nightmare, this goes for Zero Deaths, that goes for Penguin. These, teams that are just kind of on the come up here aren't quite there because of the level of precision that some of these higher level teams have been playing at for so long. The second you make some of these, small little errors around the objective is incredibly costly. And we're just not at the point for some of these other teams where they're going to feel confident in making those decisions.
That's right, and this was a game that really went back and forth, had us on our toes pretty much the entire time as Penguin had such a strong lead. But look at this, Nine. This is where AR really came back, and it was a nail-biter in overtime.
It was, and Promano did everything right there, picking out where Volti was coming from. And right now, you can see it there. They probably thought that Booyah Bomb was going to take it. They go back to hit somebody who had snuck through and was fighting on their side. Who do you fire at? Do you fire at zone? You probably think that your Booyah Bomb has it. Folks, there's about 50 decisions that had to be made in that 3-second interval right there. And I believe the old cliche that we all lean on is we're up here and there, fighting it out, the player in the arena, as it were. But it's again so very frustrating that is the level that you are expected to be able to play at to beat these teams. And I would argue that it plays even further into this whole set play format. You may get a Flounder Heights game in there. I'm using that as an example, but you're not going to be able to get 5 of them in a row over the course of 3 different modes. Maybe in a best of 9 set with counter picks or something, you run into that. You don't run into it here. And that's why we are, once again, really throughout this entire week, it's been the favorites. It's been the Blue Bloods that have risen to the top in every single set. Okay, but I thought your point on it was absolutely accurate.
That's right. And I mean, again, just kind of the way this set is structured too, we get to see all of the best. So K-Bot, closing remarks with this set and basically how today went. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of the expected favorites coming out on top across the board, right? That was true for Alliance Rogue here. That was true for Crush Soda a little bit ago. And these up and coming teams just aren't quite there. They are so close, man. But just those few decisions that they're making around some of these objectives. I mean, I can even go back and look at the Clams match, the first match that Penguin and Alliance Rogue played tonight. Penguin was outpacing them on nearly every front, but there was no clams for them. They weren't prioritizing those clams at all and ended up not having many in those games where it matters most. So we're seeing some of those patterns start to come out of the first week of the league, and we'll see if any of these up-and-comers will take more games off of these Blue Bloods. That'll be the main thing to watch out for next week.
And 9, after seeing 4 quality matchups over this Thursday and Friday, what are your closing remarks?
Just that this was what we were hoping to see. We were hoping to see, again, the established Blue Bloods, folks. In a traditional tournament, the story ends up being all about them every single time because we don't get to see a lot of these events. And the most games that get streamed and that we talk about are when Seed 1 meets Seed 4, Seed 2 meets 3. And the loser side, it's Seed 5 versus Seed 4 in losers finals. Here, we get to actually have a format where these teams can prep against one another. I know some of the sets did go pretty dominantly one way or the other, but we saw lots of these teams steal games that maybe you wouldn't expect, and some of these teams, the newer generation, if you will, be able to outpace some of these top teams. So we want to see more of that as we go through. We would love to see some upsets as we go through, but thus far, some internet connectivity issues aside, I've loved what I've seen.
Our league will be resuming on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. K-Bot, what is a match that you're looking out for?
Match coming up next week. Again, like I said, it's going to be all about these, 9 keeps calling them the Blue Bloods, the old guard versus these up-and-comers. I'm looking out for Alliance Rogue versus Graveyard Shift. Obviously, we saw Alliance Rogue play today, and some of the maps, they looked incredibly solid. Others, they looked a little shaky, and they might have a few things to clean up before that match, because if we know anything, we know that Orion will be back on those Tetra Drulies, riding that Reef Slider, bringing some hell to Alliance Rogue and what they want to do. So I'm looking forward to that one, seeing if Graveyard Shift can try to bounce back and make a run towards playoffs, especially with that opponent versus AR.
Again, we will see you at the same time next week, next Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. My name is Falco Flyer. I'm joined here by K-Bot and 9 Whole Grains on the Analyst Desk. We'd also like to thank our commentators for today, Nox Fusion, Popgun, and Walkie. And from all of us here at InkTV, we will see you next time.